Well, joining us now, we are very privileged to be joined by Amitav Ghosh, someone who's widely considered, certainly by me, to be India's finest author. But that apart, he's somebody who's been tracking weather phenomena very closely, whether it's tsunamis or cyclones or super cyclones. Good to have you, Mr. Ghosh. We've been discussing this in the past as well. On this occasion, it's odd, isn't it? Within a week of one cyclone on our western seaboard, we've got another cyclone on our eastern seaboard. From what you have read or what you have learned, is there something about the science we need to be alert about?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me, Vishnu. It's a great pleasure to be speaking to you today, though I should say it's not really a pleasure given the circumstances. Well, the West Coast cyclone certainly had, we can see a major climate change impact, because it's been predicted for years now that the Arabian Sea will start generating more and more cyclones. The Bay of Bengal, on the other hand, has historically been a cyclone breeder. Indeed, the very word cyclone was coined in Calcutta in the 19th century by an English cyclone specialist called Henry Piddington. So, it is very, this cyclone, I would say, we won't know until attribution studies are done whether there's been a sort of climate change impact on it. But certainly the rapid intensification of the cyclone does seem to show some connection with climate change.
Since you covered the tsunami and, I was there at that same time, is there a greater sense of awareness now in terms of the need to protect lives? We've got an exemplary force, for example, the NDRF, the National Disaster Response Force, wasn't quite as organized back then. So is that a learning lesson which has by and large saved us a lot of lives?
Yes, I think we still have to see. I mean, the NDRF, we don't know actually how effective it is, but the fact that it can be deployed so quickly is a good sign. But I think it's the local expertise that has really made a difference, in Odisha, in Bengal, and in Andhra Pradesh. I mean, it was remarkable to see that Odisha dispatched so many people to Gujarat, for Cyclone Taute. So, certainly Odisha has become very expert at dealing with these cyclones. But again, Vishnu, I would caution that, we should separate two things. One is the immediate impact, which we can actually ameliorate through various kinds of precautionary measures, most of all evacuation. But the long-term damage, nonetheless, is mounting, Lives are not lost in those numbers that they once were in the past, in the 90s even. But livelihoods are nonetheless being lost at an even greater rate. Yeah. The Sundarban, for example, was completely devastated by Amphan, and that was just a year ago. People have just about begun to start picking up the pieces, and now we have this. And on top of this, also the tornadoes, which is again, I mean, tornadoes are not unknown to the region of Bengal, but that two tornadoes should be whipped up so suddenly and so quickly. I mean, it just goes to show that everything is out of whack.
Yeah, no, it certainly does. And, I was going to ask you about Cyclone Amphan. The fact that people suffered immensely in parts of rural Bengal, again, livelihoods battered, and to think that tomorrow at some stage, parts of Bengal are going to face the incredible impact of this super cyclone, that's very worrying for people, for millions out there.
I wouldn't call this a super cyclone, though, because we don't actually know yet what category it is.
Very intense cyclone, yeah. A very intense cyclonic storm. Yes. Yeah, I should correct myself.
It's a severe cyclone, but it's by no means as bad as it might be, and we are going to see worse in the future. That's the only reason why I say this. See, Amphan devastated Bengal, but again, let's remember, Amphan hit at a time when COVID numbers weren't surging. Yeah. They were a fraction of what they are today in Bengal. And this is the thing that is so worrying. I mean, this incredible surge in Bengal following on the elections and so on. In the midst of that, how are you going to organize socially distanced evacuations? I must say, greatly to the credit of the West Bengal government, they did manage to do a lot of evacuation last time around. But this time, really, Bengal is, it's seeing a catastrophic convergence of different vectors of the planetary crisis, really.
Yeah, no, very worrying indeed. Thank you very much, Mr. Ghosh, for speaking to us and sharing your concerns. Let's just hope and pray that things are not very bad tomorrow. Thank you very much indeed.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for having me.